I was born here in St. Louis in 1971. Grew up here in the 70s and 80s. And given that, I have a unique perspective growing up here in St. Louis, moving back here to St. Louis, now having my kids grow up here in St. Louis. And I wanted to comment on some of my experiences. This gives me the ability to speak from experience not only about where we've been, but also where we're headed in the future. When I was born here in 1971 at Jewish Hospital, there was only a handful of Indian people here in St. Louis. Mainly they were college students. Most of them were like single male students. And as I grew, I witnessed my parents attempting to preserve our Indian culture and our religion. There was only one or two Indian restaurants there. I was real skinny then. Now there's a lot more Indian restaurants. There were just a few Indian grocery stores. I think there were one or two Indian grocery stores. It was tough to get Indian movies, to watch Indian movies. We'd see like, fourth or fifth generation copies of movies. There was no temple or centralized meeting place. We would do puja or have events like Diwali in basements or in people's homes. We would rent school auditoriums or gymnasiums for bigger events like Diwali or Holi, or we'll have Garba parties or Bhangra parties at these schools. I learned really nothing about Indian culture in school. The only mention would be Gandhi, sometimes when we're talking about Martin Luther King or Abraham Lincoln, but really learned very little about Indian culture in my school. So for everyone like me growing up here, any Indian identity I had was really a big effort from my parents trying to teach me and take me to all these different things in people's homes. So fortunately, as time went on and the community grew, Sudhir Bhai and a core group of Indians about 18 years ago created this Bal-Vihar, which was this centralized center for learning where in our community we could meet and our children could learn things about our religion and our heritage. We could not only learn what Indians do and what's important about our religion and heritage, but also why we do the things that we do in puja and what all these holidays mean. Once Bal-Vihar was formed, it taught and enlightened our children things that I could see my kids do that I never even knew that I could do. My first witnessing of that was maybe about 3 or 4 years ago when we were attending a funeral oven, and my two sons, Raj and Milan, started joining in what the Panditji was saying. And I looked at my wife Chris and I said, how do they know all these shlokas that the Panditji is saying? And it was all from Bal-Vihar. And that was the value in Bal-Vihar, the value and power that Bal-Vihar had for us. So now St. Louis has countless Indian restaurants. It has many grocery stores. We can see Indian Bollywood movies at AMC Theater. We get DVDs the day they're released in India. I think it's time now to provide a permanent house to educate our kids. Every other ethnic community, including like the Jewish community, the Christian community, the Muslim community, has an educational home for their culture. And that's something that I think that the Indian culture, the Hindu culture is lacking, and we need to establish a home for that. And there's no reason we should be lagging behind. Since I was born here and I moved back here, my children will always have a tie to St. Louis. I'd like this community to pull together and reach this goal of providing this permanent place for a school for our children to learn about our heritage.
We have as our speaker Mr. Jerry Ickel. He is the General Manager and Partner of Bommarito Nissan.